Recording in progress.
Hi, I'm Elaine Brewster. This is Church Music Origins, and I'm here today with Stacy Lyon, daughter of Laurence Lyon, who is probably the composer that I worked the very, very most with. And I just found out by reading online that he was born in Holland in what, 1934?
Uh,
The son of T. Edgar Lyon, famous T. Edgar Lyon. So that was fun. I didn't know that. I would love Stacy to tell us a little bit about what she knows about her dad's upbringing, and was he always musical? Is that something he loved? Did the Lyon family love to sing and play together? Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you for having me, Elaine. It's always good to share things about my father.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's enjoying this sometime. So you mentioned that he was born in Holland. His father was a rich president at the time, and when they went to Holland, his mother was expecting him and his brother. American doctors told them there were twins. The doctors in Holland did not believe that until they were in the birth process. Anyway, my father was the second. In his early years, they were in Rotterdam. So the earliest musical connection that we know of with him is about 2 or 3, and they were living there. He told his mother he wanted to piano in the Sunday school. I want to piano in the Sunday school.
Piano.
The piano group had something that grew into it. They were not a musical family by any means.
Well, they were an educated family.
They were educated families. His parents were teachers, both teachers by trade. So when they returned to the States in the Mill Creek area where he grew up, they had a small farm, as many did at that time. I won't even really call it a farm. I guess they had cows and shit, like people lived in their backyards and continued to demonstrate this interest brought to music. And so his mother went about to find him the best piano teacher she could, and he began lessons. Because of the demands of playing the piano and the finger,
dexterity,
and all those things, he was relieved of the responsibility of milking the cows. That did create a little resentment with his brothers and sisters. But anyway, that's kind of a fun story I always like to tell about him being young. But very young, he clearly had an interest in music. And something that just was a deep connection. And he has what he called a composition log. And in the preface to that, he shares a bit about his early leanings towards music. And he said it was in 6th grade, he started a sketchbook. Because he had heard that composers had sketchbooks. And so in the sketchbook, he would write down some of his favorite chords, progressions, just those kinds of things that start you off with when you have a piece that you're going to develop. So he recorded a lot of the creative process that he's learned. And those things probably we could spend hours on. But anyway, that's the beginning of his sketchbook. As I mentioned, his family was not musical. His father could not carry a tuba bucket, as they say, but he loved to sing. He'd sing loud. So he just continued to sort of be a musician in the family. So he did a lot to develop that interest.
Jamie his twin brother was not musical?
Not to the degree my father was. And they were this sort of rivalry. when he was 5 or 6, he was given a biography of Mozart.
Oh.
And fascinating. He just read that with great earnest. But he didn't realize that all composers were not like Mozart. And so Peter said, if I had realized that there were other ways to be a composer, I might have started composing earlier. If he had this model, this is what you have to be like, you have to have a photographic memory, it all has to come to you at once. So he felt that was, sort of a bit of it, and held him back.
Sure.
During junior school, he had great music mentors at school. He wrote symphonies in German, and a lot had continued his music studies with Laurie and then I can't remember his name.
Well, and then at the online, it said he walked 120 miles or went 120 miles to Frank Asper for piano lessons.
He went along. He was a priority in terms of getting him the best that they could. It was very expensive, of course, during that time. And everything. But he had many composers that influenced his writing. Tchaikovsky, and I can listen to them here. Chopin. He loved melody. So melody was really important to him. So anyway, those high years, many musical, he was involved in productions, writing things for church productions, for special meetings, local things, and that just sort of kept him going this direction. My mother tells about, during their dating years, they would have most of their dates were listening to records, playing music together, or going downtown to a theater or something like that. He loved the environment in the city, Lake City at the time, and took full advantage of that from a very young age. The bus downtown to the symphony. So that's kind of background at college.
Awesome.
Graduate work, his master's he did at the Wayfaring and a great symphony. And that was by Mormon. And I'm not sure the date, in the early 60s. And
I must have just been out.
Okay.
I was in Mormon youth, I think, until 1972. And then I started teaching school, and it was just too busy. I did something again with Mormon youth in 73, as a separate concert. So Jay Welch was the conductor still?
I believe so. The big concert, it was broadcast on, I think on TV at the time, America. And it was extremely nervous about that, because his composition was, or his arrangements on the program with Holland, all these famous other composers that were famous. And then there was this arrangement of Wayfaring. And it came off wonderful. And that I think gave him another level of confidence. I don't know if you want to transition to his doctoral studies with music and that experience that influenced him.
Yeah, do you remember the name of his dissertation?
Not the name.
They're usually about 20 words long.
See, he's the doctor, not me. Well, I think it was difficult for him at Eastman because he loved melody. And this 20th century time.
Oh, you know what? It said it online. It was about Wayfaring. So it wasn't about melody, it was about chord structure.
And he writes in this log, he says, at Eastman, I was called the sanest composer in this school, which he became in a humorous way quite proud of. It is a compliment. But it was hard on me, wanting to write pieces with melodic essence, with so many forces going the other ways. And so I think that's sort of where his identity as a composer, his style, his priority, maybe sort of began to come into his consciousness, his awareness. Okay, these are the things that are important to me. This is how I believe music should, or the role that it should play, or what it should bring to people. He wrote quite a bit here, and I won't read the whole thing, but because we're talking about the spiritual power of music, and this was very important to him. I realized as a young teenager growing up in the church, I knew that I always counted on his music to bring spirit. That's how I learned what spirit is like. So whatever piece, I knew that there would be some way that I would be touched at some point. But as time went on, and I can always count on this music to bring that feeling that just lifts. And he wrote here, in my judgment, all good music have a spiritual quality, or it won't last. That doesn't mean music needs to have a religious text or context. Just have a spiritual basis, such as I hear in most of Mozart's music, much of Schumann's piano works, and in Beethoven and Tchaikovsky. And these comments on 20th century music, of all the criticisms that can be leveled against most of it, lack of spirituality has to be the foremost. So for him, that was a priority, and it's not something that you can make happen. It has to do with how you put the music together.
The intent of the composer.
I think the intent, as well as the craft, so that you can fine tune to elicit kinds of feelings. If you think of the exquisiteness of Mozart's music, the technique, the skill of how you design the piece, compose the piece, put it together with that level of expertise he had. That contributes to its power.
Wow.
Spiritual power.
Well, I don't say that, we can't say that we know that everything that Bach did was spiritual, or that everything that Mozart did was spiritual, but we do have some of their words where they basically were saying that that's what music was to do. It was to bring the spirit. And so that general feeling of the composer can be the foundation under which they do all of the, like you say, the structuring on top of it.
Right. We hear a lot more these days about frequencies and vibrations. We're more tuned into how many hertz this music. And I believe those contribute to the spiritual impact. Something we know that music that uplifts and raises has that quality to it. You can feel that physically when you listen to a piece by Tchaikovsky or Mozart, and that feeling that your whole being has.
Yeah, yeah.
as another kind of music that you might enjoy as well, but it has a level of impact.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and it's interesting for me to read that after the fact. I didn't read this song until he was gone.
Sure.
But growing up, I also knew that I could be lifted by whatever is composed, singing or listening to. And I guess I should share one thing about that process. When you're leading to his hymn in the track that touches ours for the Lord had a way of leading him along. And what that meant was it took him out of the Wasatch Run area and planted him far away so he could become his own self. He could be able to develop his own identity as a composer, maybe with less influence from local environments, and be able to be more true to who you are, originally, without all the other factors that might exist or competition. I don't know. He's still very connected to his colleagues here. The family moved to Oregon in the mid-60s. The university there, it was like a match made in heaven to connect up with the other colleague who became the lyricist much of his work. And that partnership lasted for years and years and years.
I didn't with the university or with a certain person.
His colleague, Lloyd Hansen.
Yes.
Lloyd Hansen was just the right kind of partner for him, and worked together creatively. He was an English professor. And so they had many projects together that allowed him to explore different directions with his music. And with somebody who was, I should say, very high caliber in terms of original poetry and lyrics. But in that comment I was mentioning is, this is a small town, small rural town with a university. And the word choir became the testing ground for all of his choral music. And I think there's a special place in heaven for all of the choir members that survived his choir as the director. I'm assuming it was an official calling. It was just sort of an official calling for decades. But every choral piece he put out was first developed on our word choir. And those days, it meant I had to read handwritten manuscripts.
I have a lot of his handwritten stuff in my filing cabinets. He wrote well. I can read it.
Not the simplest, easiest thing to read, especially words or the notes. We had a blessed piece of organist managed through. But the word choir is where it was not have been able to do what he did without the choir. And they were very patient with him and tried to be as well with the things that he was envisioning, reading, and trying to create. So that was really key piece of all of his choral writing. And I'm sure any choir members have a lot of stories to tell about trying to read music. And, he has a high standard. And so, but it built a wonderful tradition in the ward, and people, supported the choir for
Oh, it just froze for just a sec. We have got 7 minutes left. I would like to play, so that is on our Zoom, Each Life That Touches Ours for Good. Now this one, the words were not written by Lloyd Hansen. The words on this were written by Karen Lynn Davidson, and I'll have to talk to her about that, sometime. But is that all right if we just listen to that?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is on the church site, and anyone can access it, and they can get accompaniment only, or they can get nice little people. They can get the ward choir singing it. And that is hymn number 293 in the current hymn book. Who knows what it'll be in the next one? You probably don't know, Stacy. I had started singing a lot of his arrangements, in about 1968. My singing teacher, Betty Jean Chipman, was a good friend of his and introduced me to his music. And and so later he wrote a glorified version of that where it arches and goes up to an A, and sent that to me, and I was the first person that was able to sing that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
I think it was on a recital that I was doing in the Assembly Hall up in Salt Lake, and it seems to me that on that I was doing a lot of Lyon music. Maybe the flutist, his "Oh, Our Lovely Deseret," and in several pieces. So he knew that I was doing almost kind of a Lyon section, and he said, "I don't know whether this song would be good for an encore," because he knew it couldn't be on the main part, but but if you want to do it, I just arranged it for soprano, and so even though it was a religious piece, I put it on as an encore, and of course, because it's Laurence Lyon, it did well.
Well, that's. I have to say, Elaine, that I heard your name so often in our home. My father always shared with us about his projects, what he was doing,
Nice.
the people he was working with. And he was always just so grateful when he would find sopranos, yourself, that could really bring to life things that he had in mind for composition.
And I have to say, and this nice Zoom is not letting us have all the time that I thought. We have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
This rotten little Zoom. Anyway, When I was doing my master's degree, I had a crazy, well, you remember this, a crazy poem by an Irish person, Evan Boland. And I sent it to him and I said, could this even be made? It was so hard, the poem. You know, there was nothing that rhymed or anything in this poem. And I said, could this even be made into a song? I would love to do this for my master's recital. And he called me back and he said, Elaine, no one in their right mind would compose to that. And yes, I'll do it.
He loved the challenge.
He did, and he made a masterpiece. Well, I could spend another half hour. Like I say, I dearly love A. Laurence Lyon, and I was so sad when I heard the news that he had passed on, but, you know, doing good works there. And the nice thing is that all of these, I hear his, whenever I think about Pioneers, darling, adorable song, my favorite Pioneer song, his music lives on. You know, his legacy lives on.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share about music and him. I appreciate all that you do to the music world.
Oh, thank you. All right, we'll talk to you later, Stacy.
Thank you.